Hello guys, today we're gonna do spontaneous road trip to the beach, and this is gonna be very raw because I only have two GoPros. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you watch this video. Welcome back to the new video of Tetska, and today we are gonna talk about my last car, Audi E-Tron. So this video should have been released around 2 months ago, where the car was returned, but there have been some things happening, so I'm giving it to you now. So it is about long-term review of my leased Audi E-Tron Quattro 50. So let's start with the why. So back in the days when I was looking for a new car, so I was looking for a new daily, and as usual I am leasing my daily car. So back at the day, so exactly there I was driving BMW M4 and Volvo XC90, which was kind of like purchased or like subscribed. So it was purchased with subscription model, so it was called Care by Volvo. Back in the days it was still kind of like a new thing, and because I found out that it's a little bit more expensive than if you lease your own car, so I went out to get a new one. So really high on the list was actually a Range Rover Vela and some others. I really forgot because Vela was almost clear. It was almost clear that it's gonna be Vela, but we had an offer on the table. It was leasing over 3 years with around 25,000 euro down payment, and the monthly cost is gonna be around, I think, like around 300 euro or 320 or something like that, or 280, I forgot. But then several days before I was about to get back to Land Rover, I found an ad on mobile.de. There was an Audi E-Tron for sale in Berlin, and the price was at 68,000 euro. So then I went directly to Audi Center in Berlin, and I saw that the price list, the price for the car was around 78,000 euro, but in internet was the updated version. So they give a huge discount for that car because apparently it was the first batch E-Tron, and it was not really well spec. So it was kind of like thought to be the display car for E-Tron. So it was in 2019, I guess, or 2020. I kind of forget, but yeah, it's like 2020 actually, 2020. So 2020 April or May. So yeah, so then we talk about the price and also the terms for the leasing, and to cut the story short, we agreed on a number, and then the E-Tron was mine for the 3 years. So let's go to the point number one, the looks. E-Tron was just a gorgeous car. The design was amazing. I still remember the first time I saw the launch of E-Tron. So I think I saw it for the first time in 2019 or 2018 when it was announced. I thought it was just a good looking car. So the proportion is just right. So it also has this kind of like muscular hips, and in my opinion it looks better than Q7 or Q5, because Q7 has always been this kind of like for European is a full-size SUV. So it's like the big SUV from Audi that's gonna be competing against BMW X5 or Mercedes GLE or Range Rover or Volvo XC90, which I was driving on that point. And E-Tron in general just looks better than Q5 because at that point only the higher lines of Audi gets these LED bars at the back, and E-Tron has that. And I think like back in the days, the lights animation for LED, for Matrix LED, was kind of like still a new thing, and Audi now is known for that. But back in the days, E-Tron has this like really cool animation every time you unlock the car. So it's kind of also like this one point that I was like, yeah, that's a good car. And so like the Like the front headlight also looks really nice, and the proportion is just right. And E-Tron didn't look like an electric car, because if you see electric cars nowadays like the ID3 or Mercedes EQS, it just has, because the priority of the new electric cars is to increase the range, so they always try to reduce the CW value, so it's more slippery or more aerodynamic, so that it can get more range. But at the end of the day, it just looks like Renault Espace. So it's like, it looks like the front is always kind of look like a family van. So please tell me what you think about it, but that's just what occurs to me when I see the design for from ID3, for example. Number point 2, the battery. This is connected to the biggest topic that people have before purchasing an electric car. So my E-Tron was the first batch of E-Tron. So this is one of the first produced E-Tron in Germany. That's why it's also sold for, let's say, for cheaper price. And before I'm gonna say anything about the car, I'm just gonna make sure my E-Tron didn't have the cool camera, rear mirrors. It even doesn't have cup holder at the back. Apparently that's also an option by Audi, but luckily it still have floor mats. But I think it is not an option. It can be an option, like a €100 option or something. But yeah, so my E-Tron didn't have a lot of toys, let me put it that way. But let's talk about the battery, because the battery is actually, well, it is actually an option. But this is the Audi E-Tron 50 Quattro. So this is the one with smaller battery. So it has around 68 kilowatt hour brutto capacity, which means it's around 60 kilowatt hour effectively. So my E-Tron has around 310 kilometers range in summer. So we're talking about 28 degrees Celsius outside, and at the coldest it's gonna be around 17 degree or 20 degree at night. And I'm always driving my E-Tron in eco mode, because I think it still has enough acceleration and power even in eco mode. And the air conditioning, sometimes I change it to comfort, but a lot of time I'm using also eco mode. So the maximum range that I get from my E-Tron is 310 kilometers in summer, and in winter it's gonna be, let me take a look, in winter it's gonna be between 205 till 225 kilometers at max. So if it's really cold outside, like minus 10 degree or minus 12 degree, somewhere there, it's gonna be maxed out at 205 until 208 kilometers. And that translates to reduction of range between 27.42% until 30%. And also, I'm gonna tell you that my E-Tron didn't have the heat pump. So heat pump is now actually stock on E-Tron, but that starts with the introduction of E-Tron Sportback. Start from that point, all E-Trons have heat pump installed, and also E-Tron GTs. And this translates for into like more range, around 30 kilometer more. So the current E-Tron, the 50 Quattro, should actually have range effectively between 340 until, so 340 in summer, and you can expect 230 until 260 kilometer in winter. Well, I find it is not bad for a big SUV electric car, and I'm also using my E-Tron strictly in the city. So I took it to several road trips, but it hasn't been really fun road tripping with E-Tron because of this range. Actually, like if E-Tron has effective 500 kilometer range, it's gonna be perfect, because as I've said before, my Porsche Macan GTS has range of, normally if I drive like I drive, around 420 kilometer max, and it's coming out from 75 liter tank of petrol. So if E-Tron has 500 kilometer range, I don't have any issues with it. Point number 3 is electronics. This is a thing that I think people need to know before purchasing or leasing or financing E-Tron. I don't know if it's because my car was kind of like the first batch of E-Tron, but it did have some electronic problems. But one highlight or maybe low light of that issue is I find it very annoying when this flap for charging, like the charging flap, which works electrically, just stopped working. So it happened to me once to the left side flap. So E-Tron has two flaps, so it has kind of like you can charge from both sides, but the the left side one is the one that you use if you want to do the high-speed charging. So if you don't have that, means you can only charge at maximum 11 kilowatt hour, which is not slow. I mean, like, I used to drive XC90, the plug-in hybrid one, the one with 390 horsepower or 400 horsepower. That one can charge at max 2.3 kilowatt hour, which is very slow. So 11 kilowatt hour for me is not the slowest possible, but it's also not fast. So if you are on a road trip or you are gonna go like 200 kilometers away to visit your family or something, and you cannot do high-speed charging, it just defeats the purpose. It just makes the whole trip gonna it's just gonna cost a lot more time. And that happened once, and it took Audi around 1 month to order like the part for that. So for 1 month I needed to plan all of my travels really in detail. Otherwise I just need to plug it in and wait. And the worst case scenario is that if I need to charge every time I stop or every time I park the car. And that happened actually one day, and it was not the best experience that one can have. So the first thing that I hate from my E-Tron was the suspension. So as much as I love the air suspension, it also